This is a story about unconditional love, and before you know it, it will touch your heart like it has touched mine. This is the apartment of a man in his 60s, and for the sake of storytelling, we will call him Henry. Henry was born in the UK but moved to the Netherlands when he married a Dutch girl. Together they had one child, a son, who we will call Josh. After Josh had already moved out of his parents' home, the couple got a divorce. This was much harder on Henry because he had not made much new friends here in the Netherlands, and his relatives and family were still in the UK. Henry made a new start in his own apartment, but slowly he fell into a depression. The depression made Henry push people away, and he lost close contact with his son Josh. In the meantime, John started his own family, but the kids hardly knew their grandfather. 9 years went by and Henry was dealing with severe pain in his hip. It turned out he had a hip wear and tear and he was on the waiting list for a total hip replacement. Eventually, the hip surgery went well, and one of the beautiful things in our country is that after a total hip replacement, a patient can go home and rehabilitate at home. But when Henry was told he would be sent home and would receive the help of nursing care at home, he completely refused. He even got into a discussion with the hospital staff because the hospital didn't want Henry to keep a hospital bed occupied. It wasn't necessary. Henry's behavior was strange and suspicious, and they couldn't really understand why he was behaving this way, and so the hospital staff asked if his son could come and talk to him. They were probably hoping that Josh knew his father better and he could explain some of it, but that wasn't the case. Josh told me that finally he said something to his dad like, "Okay, you can tell me now what is wrong and why you can go home, or you will go home and get the nursing care." That was the moment that Henry finally opened up about the situation in his house. He gave the keys to Josh, and what Josh saw was shocking. In the living room, there was a pile of beer cans, smoke waste and food waste, so high that it almost reached the ceiling. Everything was covered in dirt and dust, and it was just one little chair in the middle of all the filth. For 9 years, his father was in this situation and nobody knew about it. Even the neighbors told us that they would not expect this to be his house because this man was always so well dressed and well behaved. At first, Josh didn't know what to do, but then he decided to contact a charity organization and ask them how to handle this situation. It turned out someone in his organization knew Coline X, a girl who cleaned people's homes for free. But thing was, she was 6 weeks postpartum, so she probably wasn't available. Little did they know that Coline had already FOMO, and when she saw the pictures of this home, she couldn't wait to start cleaning it.
Heb je nog zo'n witte zak aan? Daar zo, op die tafel, hier. Op die witte ding, ja.
Here I am, 8 weeks postpartum, and I loved doing this job. I had really missed being with the girls and just chatting with them and having fun. I don't know if you noticed, but I even bought a new scooper for this job. It was the Super Scooper first, and now it's the Ultra Scooper. We collected a lot of the beer cans in huge white big bags because we were supposing there was deposit on it, but halfway through we found out that there was no deposit on those cans, at least not on the majority of it. That was kind of disappointing because otherwise it would have been so much money that this man probably could use. And I think Henry had lost his ashtray because there were piles of ashes everywhere through this huge pile of waste. It was a good thing we wore masks because we were surprised a couple of times by a sudden cloud of grey dust that exploded when we scooped through the mess. And when we saw the floor, we noticed that it was really brown and greyish from all the ashes and tobacco. You can see what that looked like in the picture right here. Slowly but surely we could dig out some of the furniture that was in this home, and even though we told Josh that we were able to clean most of it. He insisted that everything would be thrown out. He was an entrepreneur himself and he wanted the whole apartment to be cleared out because he wanted to let a painter come and new flooring, new furniture, everything brand new.
Dit zijn wel top, hè? Worden ze niet te zwaar? Nee, ze zijn heel licht.
Josh had rented a container of 10 cubic meters for this cleanup, but soon we realized we needed a second container. As you could hear, doing these voiceovers is a little bit more challenging for me right now, but I'm doing my best. My baby Nina is almost 16 weeks old right now, and she is the most sweet, lovely, smiley, cute little baby. Her older brother Gideon of 5 years old is so proud of her, and he makes his sister smile every day. When I take a walk with Nina in the stroller, Gideon is often on his bike and he's making sure his sister is safe by telling all the cars to stop. It really is the cutest thing when he says to me, "Mommy, I'm the one who should protect Nina, so I'm telling all the cars to stop." I love my kids to bits, and speaking for ourselves, I think the change to having a second child was far more easy than having our first. It was less life-changing and we knew more what to expect. So I really enjoyed those first weeks with the newborn, and it was such a difference. Also, the recovery after this C-section was so much smoother than after my first C-section, partly because I didn't lose a lot of blood and I could stay awake during the surgery, which was so amazing. It really was a wonderful experience and I'm so grateful for that. Okay, that's enough labor talk for this video. Let's talk about a different kind of labor, which is clearing out this kitchen. The other girls were busy trying to throw out all the trash bags, and we were so happy that in this case we could do that via the balcony. It's always great when that's a possibility, because then you don't have to disturb the neighbors by carrying all the trash bags through the hallway. This is a little shot from the countertop in the kitchen. As you can see, this man loves his coffee. You can notice all the dried out coffee pads right over there in a pile, a little brownish pile that you can see there. And Yasmin, she really wanted to record a video for a campaign for a steam cleaner brand. And she asked me if she could do the countertop. And I was like, okay, well, because you're my friend.
Woe, zo, dat eruit. Woe. Ik gooi die €2 bij de rest in de slaapkamer. Ja, slim. Je hebt wel echt een mooi beeld, Jas. Ja, hè? Hé, je pakt wel eens zakken. Goed, toch? Hé, handig.
At this point, it was already late in the afternoon and we realized we had to come back a second day to do the wet cleaning. And I think I have to apologize for this view because, as you can see, my pants were ripped again, so my butt was still as big as it was before the pregnancy. Some of you might know that I had pregnancy diabetes and I had to give myself insulin. And unfortunately, the diabetes is still there, even though I'm not pregnant anymore. Now, I know I was a little overweight before my pregnancy, so my BMI has not been the best. And now it is possible to reverse the diabetes, and that's a journey I'm on. I will probably talk to you a little bit more about this journey in the next video because I'm going to close this video already. I know 10 minutes is not enough, but this was day 1 and I'm gonna make a video about day 2 really soon. Now we say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for your sweet comments and your support, and see you in the next one. Bye!